In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
Welcome. Some have said that gender-based violence is a man's conversation. Well, today, the men take on the issues at the table. I'll kick things off by taking us on a journey through understanding gender-based violence.
Yeah, okay, we'll meet again. I'll take it up from where you live, from understanding to breaking the chains of gender-based violence. I'll be focusing on the father factor.
Kingsley, why should I say we meet again? We know each other now.
But we are meeting now. You know.
Since the baton has come to me, I'll take things in a different direction, from understanding to breaking the chain to interrogating the narrative. Hey, Bright, what's up?
I'm good, Yinka. You could say I'm tackling the problem at the root, since, as Yinka said, gender-based violence is the man's problem. I'm focusing on redefining manhood. Welcome, Bolaji.
Hello, Bright. I'm obviously in good company. And what more can I say? Well, for me, I'll be running up by focusing on, on the new norm and, tackling it from that angle, how we need to change with change.
From understanding to unshackling to uncovering or even unbundling, every relay race has a beginning. The clock is ticking, gentlemen. Let's hit the track. The journey through gender-based violence. First, what is gender-based violence? Gender-based violence, or GBV, is an umbrella term for harmful acts directed at an individual based on their gender. It's a multifaceted violation manifesting not just physically, but through sexual, psychological, economic, and cultural dimensions, all rooted in power imbalances and inequality. The journey from victim to survivor is a profound transformation, a tumultuous path of reclaiming identity, power, and self. In Nigeria, most especially, due to significant underreporting driven by stigma, fear, influence of perpetrators, weak disciplinary system of the state, however, we cannot ignore the devastating challenges of GBV in our society, as we have women from ages 15 to 49 have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional violence from men. Yet, there is no data to capture the fate of men in this malady. Why this ease of this journey varies, the available data and narratives from the consulting room reveal a stark truth. For the vast majority, the path is arduous. The initial impact is a deft blow to one's core humanity, leaving individuals feeling disempowered and fragmented. As the trauma compounds, it layers shock, fear, and self-blame, create a heavy emotional burden that can make the world feel unsafe and self-lost. Navigating out of this place requires immense psychological resilience and often external support. Healing begins with the critical act of emotional validation, the experience of being heard, believed, and supported without judgment or fear. This validation is the first step in rebuilding the shattered sense of safety and self-worth, allowing a person to move from a state of surviving to actively reclaiming their narrative. This brings us to our collective duty as humans. Eradicating GBV to the barest minimum is not the sole responsibility of survivors or specialists. It is a societal imperative. It demands that every concerned human get involved by challenging harmful norms, supporting survivors with empathy, and advocating for stronger protections. When we nurture communities of belief and safety, we don't just aid individual healing, we dismantle the very foundations that allow such violence to persist.
I mean, we've made history on this table by by having an all-men's table. So yes, kudos to you, News Central. So you took us to school, teaching us about what gender-based violence is, and the first emphasis there was the fact that this has nothing to do with your gender, with your gender at birth. It's not a boy versus girl, man versus woman. It's neutral.
Yes.
And that foundation for me is very important to the rest of the conversation, because to a large extent, what we've seen over the years is the gender coloring, all right, of the advocacy around GBV, which has made this kind of conversation almost impossible.
Yeah. There's always a problem regarding cases that are brought to court and the evidence, especially when the evidences are not present, and which was why Lagos State had to bring in a policy where forensic evidence becomes tenable in the case where, for instance, rape, where the woman cannot go to the hospital and do a smear, and there's the opportunity to report to the police after the incident had happened. Now, for such a lady, you can interview her, and based on her interview, which you can subject to a forensic analysis, that can be tendered in court. I was sharing with Bolaji and Akin before we came on air that GBV is a symptom, or one of the symptoms of a social collapse. When people start to kill their wives, when boys start to kill their girlfriends for rituals, when women are compelled to drink the portions, that is a reflection of a deeper issue that we need to now look at. Should we continue to fight the symptom, or should we go at the heart of this problem? So the family dynamics till date is something that there's no policy regulating how people behave at home. A friend was telling me that he was in Italy, and he said he's not been able to marry and have kids because when he gets married, his accommodation will need to change because he's married. And I said, why? He said, no, you cannot be in a room apartment with a wife and a child. It's not going to happen. So unless you are not ready to get married. I said, wow, that is state controlling what happens in the house.
Yeah.
So we can also do something like that, where we can start to prescribe certain level of decency that would, from the home front, curb, this whole thing about GBV.
I think I'm just going to make it short. I totally agree with you and Yinka. I think it's a societal construct, right? But at the same time, Yinka said something about the fact that it's not a gender thing. I think it's a gender thing. I think the societal construct has empowered. You said something about power imbalance, which is the thing I wrote on my sheet of paper. The societal construct has empowered one of the gender to feel like they're superior over the other one, and they feel like they have the authority to be able to do certain things, and that's where this all begins. So yes, it's not a male or female thing, but the construct itself is empowering one over one, and that's the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing as a result. If a child grows up with the mentality that a boy grows up with the mentality that I am better. Even if like, for example, my family, we're 2 boys and 2 girls. There are things that my parents would ask us to do, or my dad would ask us to do, and they would shield my sisters away from it. It shows me as a child growing up that my sisters are weak. That's why they can't do this kind of jobs, right? And so it might be as simple as, oh, I'm trying to protect them, but it's giving me that reason, that vibe of like, I'm better than them. That's why I'm doing this kind of thing. I believe that, yes, it's a societal construct, but we need to start reconstructing the society to create that balance.
I mean, from my own standpoint, which is the government standpoint, a lot of the things we see, the question begets the society, their response, the community, the acceptance or the reluctance to, tackle this pandemic. We still have people that are being violated, but they prefer to stay silent. Yeah. Again, it's a function of the society, the community. How is it deemed? What will people say and all of that, which would then lead to Kingsley's example of state control. So the example you gave was classic. So from my own standpoint is, how do we continue to, or how can we control that societal behavior, attitude, or construct? But then who controls it? Is it the government's job?
You guys have already done what?
I know.
Yeah. You know what you did?
No. I will pick it. So I wanted to lay its foundation to say who controls it, because when people say the government, which is what we've done and we will keep doing, the government is the people. The people is the government. But again, as a people, we must all understand the basic foundation, accept it, be willing to deal with it. And again, it's by having this sort of conversations, because believe you me, like you said earlier on, it's always been women sitting on this table having this conversation. This will spark interest, it will spark conversations, and then it would lead to what we could call a gender change.
Lagos State currently intervened in how families handle rape, especially child molestation, child sexual molestation. It's actually defilement in court. So if a child is defied and there's a report, you can no longer settle at home. This idea where the perpetrator goes to the girl's home and says, sorry, I beg, make we said, it's over. The moment the matter gets to Lagos State, that is, you cannot forgive.
Custody of the child is taken off you immediately.
So the matter dies.
Kudos to Lagos State.
They say a problem heard is a problem shared. I will add to that, a problem shared is a problem on the way to being eradicated.
So I like the sound of that, Aki. And speaking of sharing the problem, here's where I think the father's coming. Eneke the bird was asked why he was always on the wings, and he replied, "Men have learned to shoot without missing their mark, and I have learned to fly without perching on a twig." Now, guys, that was an extract from Things Fall Apart, the 1958 classic by legendary author and playwright Chinua Achebe. The dialogue between Eneke the bird and the unnamed character inquiring about its newly acquired fondness for flying without perching reminds us of an intervention I consider fundamental if we must stem the tide of gender-based violence. I call it the untapped power of fathers and their love for their daughters. Now, creating a safe space for women and girls appears to be an uphill task for law enforcement agencies in Nigeria. And I have these facts to share with you. In 2022, 49 husbands were said to have killed their spouses in 15 months. Now, Augusta Osedion was murdered by her boyfriend in 2023. Ugochukwu Chima was bludgeoned to death by her husband. Salome Adaidu, a youth corps member, was beheaded by her boyfriend. And Ogechukwu Okafor was stabbed to death by her husband. Now, Rachel Kosisichukwu was allegedly poisoned by her boyfriend. And Gloria Mbeodiama was beaten to death by her husband. Now, before then, in 2020, Verawa Omozuwa, Barakat Bello, who was 18, and Karen Akpaga, 14, were all raped and mothered. Now, these are people's daughters. These are not just statistics. These are not just names from nowhere. These are human beings. But the question I keep asking is, where are their fathers? And what could these men have done to prevent these horrific deaths? Now, the hunter has learned to shoot without missing, as NK observed. Someone must henceforth fly without perching on twigs. Our failure to socialize our girls and sons and groom them into wholesome men and husbands who will respect women tomorrow will entrench a society that is clearly unsafe for women and girls. So to this end, fathers blessed with daughters must be as circumspect as NAK, the bird. We must learn to teach our daughters about standards that make them unattractive to insecure and violent and abusive men. And this starts with intentional, deliberate, and sustained healthy father-daughter relationship. Now, the best way to recognize counterfeits is to get used to the original. The fathers must become the original, the standards, the ideal men for their daughters.
I think I would like to start with this one because this is kind of like a little bit personal to me. And it's, I mean, one of the things I took out of your monologue is, where are the fathers?
We need to stop doing this because
the way I behave has a lot to do with my upbringing.
Yeah.
Now, this is the best way to behave. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really say. Do you get what I'm saying?
Until you bring somebody into your life.
Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know. But one thing I know is that when I become a father, right, I want to be presently available to bring up my children.
Yeah.
Because no shot to my father or anything, he's an amazing dad. And growing up, I mean, the older you get as a man, the more you realize how awesome your father is.
Yeah.
But he was also put under the structure of that societal pressure to marry at a certain time, even if he wasn't financially in the place to be available for me, to be a father to me.
Or they didn't even have the capacity.
The capacity. I'm not talking about capacity, I'm talking about availability. First, just be present. I grew up in a home where I see my dad during the weekends. He goes up out early in the morning before I wake up. He's back when I'm asleep. Same thing happens every day, year after year. So I see my dad during the weekend. The days I spend with my dad would be Sundays, where we go to church together and then we spend the whole day together, right? So basically, if I calculate my 15 years, because I think I go to school for 15 years of my life, probably calculates that I saw my dad 1 year. If you want to do the math, bro. Do you get what I'm saying?
That's scandalous.
Okay, now, and this is the reality of a lot of people, millions of people, especially in Africa.
Yeah.
Because we just think fatherhood is provision and protection. No, it is availability. It's being there.
That's it.
And help your son set up that basketball court and throw the first shot. Watch him as he takes his first step. Watch him as he says the first word. That is what being a dad is about.
That's it.
And so if we keep ignoring that, we bring up people, young men and young women who be punching each other and killing each other because this plays a role in their behavior. That's my take.
Okay.
So is that why you're not married?
That's why I'm not married. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be available.
The way things are going, we're always, AI, everything, we're constantly busy. So if you're saying you're waiting for that time when you'll be, that time could mean when I've hit the lottery or, no, I'm just giving an example or whatever it means.
It's nothing to do with financial. I think,
No.
I think right now I have the physical capability to get married and be okay, but I'll still need to work.
What I'm saying is, whatever it is that your definition is, we will keep shifting the ball, however we look at it. But I'm just saying it's dangerous, but that is not what I wanted to. I just thought, since, you touched on that, but, all well and good. You asked the question, where are the fathers? And again, here, I saw, whilst you are, when you are asking where are the fathers, you mentioned something about fathers must become, ideal men for their daughters. Again, what about ideal men for their sons?
Of course, that's a different narrative.
Yes,
yeah. Which is indeed
definitely. So for me, what I had when you said where are the fathers, and it just started ringing that alarm like it did in your head. That again, where are the fathers? Hustling, fending. we are the fathers for the girls, because the fathers for the girls, there's a role they play.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier on, identifying the right men, knowing what it is like to be treated like a princess.
Yeah.
You know, they should open the door and etc. And then the other side, the fathers for the boys. This is what you do. You cannot hit a woman. You must help in the kitchen.
Exactly.
You must, X, Y, Z. So that question just opens, so many boxes, for me in my mind. And, I think it's really, it is a solid foundation that, one can build this conversation around, where are the fathers?
And it begins with availability.
Availability and sustainability as well.
When you're available, right, 24/7.
What does available even mean?
What does it? I mean, maybe it
means being physically present, but being emotionally connected.
Being emotionally connected. Okay, now, if you don't know when to even connect with them, not the right, you don't have the right content. They ask questions, and the next thing is you shut them down.
Yeah,
you are not giving them. But unfortunately, AI doesn't rest. AI doesn't sleep. Just a tap, AI gives them.
Or a voice prompt.
A voice prompt. So that's why I feel that it doesn't really start with availability. Why did I say so? I have like 2 books I read about, some superstars in the world, especially in the game of sport. One, this guy, Rafael Nadal. Then the second one, another one, not game of sport now, Hillary Clinton. So one of the books I read about Hillary Clinton, the woman said before she started to even date at all, when she was dating the former president, that they had agreement that before they go into parenting, they even marry at all, that the 2 of them will go for parenting class. So 2 years ahead, before they married, the 2 of them were certificated.
They were intentional about it.
They were intentional about it. So they were not, it's not even that I'm going to be available. Thereafter, Nadal, the guy said he's been dating the lady as when the lady was about 19 years. They didn't get married until the lady was like 30. So they had so much years to plan. Rafa Nadal said he doesn't want to bring any child to this world when he knows that he will not be physically present. While he was talking about being physically present, he registered himself in a fatherhood class.
Right.
So 2 years to when Nadal was to call it quits, playing tennis, that was when they had their first child. So 2 years after, when the boy knew the essence of having a parent, when the boy will understand what a true conversation would be, Rafael Nadal hung
his racket.
Yeah. This is the beauty of having men having this conversation, because we can see things
the perspective
from different
and it's experiential, hands-on.
Yeah.
You see, I look at it from me as a parent, myself, and one of the things that I remember that I did with my daughter, for instance, was, at the age of, I think she was 12 or 13, I was the first guy that took her out. Actually said to her, we're going out today. I'm taking you out on a date. We're going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. She bought a dress. I came home, picked her up, opened the door, car door for her. Everything was, and she was
curated.
We went to the restaurant together and all that. During the dinner, I gave her a gift, which was a new phone at that time. There was a couple next to our table that was watching. And the woman at the table couldn't help herself. Couldn't help herself. She came to me and she said, I need to meet you. I'm sure this is your daughter. I said, yes. She said, I need to meet you. You are the expression of what you have done for this girl.
Intentional.
Will stay with her for the rest of her life.
Those are compelling memories.
For my boys and for my girls, they're not going to see which example when they get married would they copy. Because I've never beaten my wife.
Yeah.
I've never treated her badly. The examples that we show at home is what they will reflect. So men in their relationships, in their marriage, must model the right behavior, and the children will pick it up.
Spot on. So, that provides the basis for me to repeat that the best way to recognize counterfeits is to get used to the original. Yinka has already agreed with me, so. So, dude,
Kingsley, not only do I agree, I live that truth.
Correct.
Time to uncover the other side of the victim narrative. Let me start with an uncomfortable truth. Even without a global database that tells us who perpetrates GBV and in what percentage, nobody disputes the dominant assumption. Men are the perpetrators, women are the default victims. That's the story we've been told, the story our institutions leaned into, and the story our statistics, incomplete as they are, seem to confirm. Dozens of studies show a clear pattern. Women disproportionately suffer, men disproportionately perpetuate. But beneath the truth lies another truth, quieter, darker, and dangerously ignored. There are enormous blind spots in the way we collect, frame, and narrate GBV. Blind spots created by the underreporting of male abuse because of stigma and by uneven data collection systems. Blind spots created by global focus, understandably, on female victimhood, but often at the cost of building a comprehensive map of all victims and perpetrators. Ask the average man about his first sexual experience. Many would describe an encounter with an older woman when they were minors, an encounter they've been taught to laugh or even gloat about. But if we strip away the bravado and confront the law, what many consider initiation or a right of way may very well qualify as sexual violence. How much would our numbers change if we remove the stigma that silences the male survivor? How much would our compassion widen if our data told the full truth? This is not a boy versus girls narrative. This is a survivors versus perpetrators fight. Yet, the gender coloring of the GBV conversation has, in my opinion, made it harder, not easier, to win this fight. Because when the tone of the debate frames men as villains, we risk overlooking men who are victims themselves. Nigeria has 78 SAC centers. SAC is the Sexual Assault Referral Centers, and 36 shelters. Recently, I asked, how many cater to boys? The answer, crickets. While they claim to be gender neutral, their design, staffing, and programming says otherwise. The only centers that appear to cater to abused boys are remand homes. Think about that for a minute. This is the other side of the conversation, the side we must confront if we truly want to change the narrative on GBV.
I was an abused boy. Oh, is it was? I am. Okay.
A survivor.
Okay, I'm a survivor. I was sexually abused by a priest.
Is this you or?
Who else? Me.
Okay.
And my story is that of so many boys who have passed through, I don't want to call out the Catholic system now, but I was lucky. But there is a silence when it comes to the stories of abused boys, many of whom are men today. Many have given birth to children, and they are projecting their trauma in such a way that while they are becoming eagles, they are also becoming apathetic to the entire GBV narrative. So I'm going to narrow it back into myself. I was almost, how do I say, my first, should I say, encounter with an adult male was that close, with a priest, and we were in the garden. We were just playing, and the next thing, the guy had on. And I was like, what is this? So I felt it, and I said, no, I'm not comfortable. I was a 10-year-old boy. Yes. And I wrestled myself out of his grip. And that was the last time I had a conversation with him. But you see, My mother died without the story I'm telling you guys.
Wow.
And my father.
Wow.
Because they were devoted Catholics. Those are not stories you want. My mother would just die. So I kept it to date. But how am I projecting that experience? It is in advocating in this kind of work that we do. So I know very well that we'll do a lot to open the flip side of this whole conversation. It is going to be a Herculean task. Make no mistake. The last thing you want to hear is the story of an abused male.
Yeah.
There's a guy who, he got married, and for 2 years, he didn't consummate his marriage. Unfortunately for the wife, she didn't know what was wrong with the guy. But the guy's first encounter was with an adult female who raped him. It was not until the lady said, today, we are going to...
We're not running anywhere.
You see this door? Break this door. Anything you want to do, do it. And immediately...
That whole memory kicks in.
What that adult lady did to the guy
Exactly
was what she was going to do.
Yeah.
And the guy said, no, you are reminding me of my life as a boy. This thing happened to me. So I thought when we get married, we're just going to be living like brothers and sisters. Because that's what I've always wanted to do until this woman came into my life. And that began the recovery journey for the young man. And he was lucky the wife had not reached menopause. They have a child. Yinka, you want to clap?
I'll try to keep this short.
Yinka wants to clap.
Because of the time. I think this is really, really profound, and thank you so much for being comfortable enough. Thank you guys for creating a safe space for him to be able to share that.
Well, I've shared it before. This is the first time.
This is my first time of hearing it.
But
I wanted to be sure.
I've known him for a long time.
You didn't know about it.
I've known him for a long time.
Thank you.
So, that's why I was
We're
not privy to where I've been sharing.
But it's still extraordinary, right? Because it gives young boys and young men the ability to understand that it is okay to share your story. So there's an experiment that they do on social media where, just to check how society behaved at certain things, right? And there was this guy and this girl, and the guy was being aggressive. He didn't even touch her, but just being very aggressive, like screaming at her. And the passerby just came and like, why are you talking to her like that? And literally, they were about to actually beat him up. But then the same people did something, flipped the coin. And it was now the girl abusing the guy. Now, it wasn't even like words. She was punching him, slapping him. Like, people took out their phones. And they were recording. Nobody came close. Nobody said anything. Not the women. This is live experiment, right? It's a circle, and that's one big part of the circle. The fact that men don't talk. And so the way that they talk is with their fists.
Yeah.
So if we don't create a society, for one of the ways we can solve this problem is to create safe space where men can feel express themselves.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on with Two-Face. They were slapping this guy on video, and people are there commenting that he's good for him. And I just what I'm saying, like, look at the comment. If it was a switch, do you know what's going to happen?
Something happened to me. The way I was taught, I was raised, is like even when a girl rapes you, permit me to use that word, it's like even a kind of ego to you that
when you are raped as a man, as
a boy, somebody looked at you and opened up for you. Oh, this is great. This is great. Do that.
It's a rite of passage. Yeah.
A rite of passage. There was a guy, we were friends in school. We were from 5. Then he'd be dating this guy, all those shukura. And when I said, this girl, if somebody else seals the girl, somebody else marks, the girl will run away from you. So this is what we're going to do. One day, once she comes to visit, just lock the door and give her a rite of passage. He tried it, but the girl overpowered, and my guy began to cry. That, no, it's not me. And the guy, our friends, mentioned our name, one after the other. The following day, the girl came with her father, and they picked us up. That you guys are bad. And we were flogged terribly.
Good for you.
Good for us. in secondary school. Honestly, that day, I knew what we did
You were in Lagos
was
State.
wrong.
You'll be in life.
What was that then? That was a criminal offense, condemnable.
If we actually ask a genuine and honest question, we can ask ourselves or we can throw it out there for a lot of young boys and men. Your first sexual encounter,
First sexual encounter,
Probably
what was it? If it wasn't abusive, just like the example you gave, it would have been with an elder woman, with an elder person, or something. If we really sit down, close our eyes and ask ourselves that question,
A huge percentage.
and ask that question, where we are now, does that first encounter have a role to play?
Oh, definitely.
I've never thought about it.
Definitely.
And I sit down here and I think about my first encounter and I wonder if, it really has something to do with how I am now.
Don't stop.
Think about it. No, you need to think about it.
Don't go there,
No,
Bolaji.
do you know why? No. Because that guy that was married,
Yes.
he had been married for 2 years, and his first encounter
Came back.
back to haunt him. So let us all think about that first encounter. And then to round it up, there's a case that we have on our table. The video came out. A 15-year-old boy having sexual intercourse with a 7-year-old girl. So the question begets the mental state of that boy and the mental state of that girl, whether it's their first encounter or not. Imagine what it would lead to further down the line.
So we don't avoid the conversation. I mean, as you have seen, we face it headlong just because it makes us feel uncomfortable. Rather, we must confront it despite the discomfort.
I hear you, Yinka. Let's find out how comfortable we are with asking the difficult question. What kind of society continues to produce abusive men? This week, we're discussing gender-based violence. I want us to talk about men. Not because all men are abusers, but because most of the perpetrators are men. And if we're going to solve this crisis, we have to understand how we became this way. From childhood, boys are handed the same script. Be tough, be strong, don't cry, don't show fear, lead, dominate, control. Men are superior. Women are weaker, fragile, and of less value. I once asked a 12-year-old football player how he would feel if his coach said he was playing like a girl. He didn't say angry or embarrassed. He said, "It would destroy me." And I remember thinking, if being compared to a girl destroys a boy, what have we taught him to believe about girls? The world of humanity is possessed of two wings, the male and the female. So as long as these two wings are not equivalent in strength, the bird will not fly. And that imbalance begins early. That mindset that women are less becomes the foundation for violence. Objectification becomes normal. Control becomes expected. Punishment becomes justification. So the real question is not, why are men like this? The real question is, what kind of society continues to produce abusive men? What are our religious institutions teaching boys about power? What do our schools reward? Emotional intelligence or aggression? What do sport culture, pornography, family system, and even government silence teach boys about entitlement? Abusive men are not born, they are manufactured, which means we can unmake what we have created. That starts with redefining what it means to be tough, to be strong, to be brave, and to be man enough. Maybe bravery is vulnerability. Maybe strength is emotional honesty. Maybe confidence is the humility to listen. Maybe being man enough means protecting women, challenging harmful narrative, and standing against silence. Gender-based violence is not just a woman's issue. It is men's issue. And until we redefine manhood, we will still continue to raise boys who harm the people they should love. Let's stop teaching boys how to use their hands and start teaching them how to use their hearts?
I've always felt that one of the biggest challenges we have in our time is an identity challenge because of the way we identify males. And you've painted it there. Men don't cry, men don't talk, men don't express. Yeah. And in the society we have today, those things are actually negatives for men. Because take a typical woman, just take a typical girl, not a typical girl, all right? She's told that she can cry, she can express herself, all right? If she needs to cry, she cries.
In fact, if she's not crying, she's not a woman.
Yeah, she can talk, nobody looks at her. By the time she's in her early teens, she can cook, she can do domestic work, she can take care of her little ones, okay? While she's also going through her menstrual flow, but you don't know. So she's learned how to mask pain, she's learned how to multitask, and she's educated at the same time. So what you are having is that you are having this girl that is developed, that capacity is developed over time, to the time that when she gets out of university or gets out of school, she is a machine, alpha woman going out. But the boy has been told, you know what, just because you are a boy,
as if it's natural.
You are natural leader. You are going to marry a woman. That woman is going to take your name. All right? And so everything. And then that boy, dysfunctional as he is, goes to marry an alpha female. And so that's why you begin to see a lot of marriages crashing and all these things. So the reality is this: we must change, we must confront the reality that life has evolved, not from the way it used to be 50 years or 100 years ago, to a more progressive, egalitarian society. And we must also evolve in the way that we see our women, because if we don't, the boys that we are creating today are the ones, these dysfunctional boys, are the ones that are going to marry these girls, and we're going to continue with this cycle of violence.
My intervention will be in form of a question. How do we redefine masculinity? That was the thrust of your conversation, your monologue. There's no way we would address GBV without redefining what it means to be a man. Yeah. So, and I put it down here that we need to begin to accept a new standard for redefining what masculinity is all about. And what is that standard? How you treat women should become an indicator of manliness. In other words, if you're strong indeed, then why don't you protect those around you with that strength?
Exactly.
So that becomes a redefinition of masculinity. Another redefinition I think we can also canvas here is we need to start to celebrate vulnerable men. Men who are being deliberately vulnerable, because isolation is becoming toxic. By that I mean you bottle up yourself. We don't know anything about you. And how do you create a support system to support somebody you don't know anything about?
Doesn't see anything.
You understand? So Yinka is going through something. I can't help you, man. I don't know what you're going through.
But does that also come from the fact that men do not know how to listen to men?
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So that's where so connection needs to happen. So I need to be able to say, Yinka, oh boy, I'm having erectile dysfunction.
Oh boy, the level of comfort in missing that
that is the problem in itself.
You understand? So I should be able to say, Yinka, hey, oh boy, this thing is doing me one kind of.
Men do not celebrate men.
And then the guy will say, hey,
that's part of it.
Is that swelling?
Yeah.
I should be able to remove my...
Broncos.
And say, guy, please touch it. Yes, what you see?
They're taking this too far, bro.
No. Hold on. When, God forbid, if that thing kills me, there's nothing like God forbid. You're gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
Right? We say the youths form 60% of the population.
Sure.
Right? And I'm in direct contact with them every single day. You see this thing you're talking about, it is a norm. They don't express themselves. They don't communicate with themselves. So, in essence, we are breeding monsters.
Yes.
Facts.
So my question is, now that we're having these conversations, how do we infiltrate to break that, if there's a word, monstrous system that is being created, especially with the fact that a lot of them, they're on devices.
Kudos to Lagos State government, please, once again. So I happen to be one of the mentors for the boys. Can we have a kind of curriculum, like a curriculum for them? Something they go home, they will always look into. It's not just going to be the head knowledge alone.
We need to create a new brotherhood.
Yes.
That is founded on connection and relationship.
Yes.
Curriculum doesn't cut it.
Well, speaking of redefining manhood, where bravery is vulnerability and strength is emotional honesty, what is your definition of manhood? Bolaji.
Thank you, Bright. I like the way you ask the poignant questions. Allow me to shed a bit more light on this vital issue. As someone who works with the government and part of the government, I have come across various projects that have touched me personally and cut to the heart of the fabric of communities. One such issue is to do with gender-based violence. I mean, I know we have discussed and put forward that gender-based violence is not just a woman's issue, but a men's issue. But I want to cap our discussions today by saying that gender-based violence, it is a collective issue. And the sooner we all take ownership and responsibility of the challenges and even answer the difficult questions around this topic, the sooner we make our society and communities safer for all of us. Bright asked a question earlier, what kind of a community produces men who abuse women? I asked the question, what kind of community produces people who stay silent in the face of such abuse? We need to work actively as a community to enable the vulnerable access help, and this is as a result of people being able to speak out, knowing that their voices will be heard. This is not just a government issue. This is a support system issue. This is a family issue. This is a social network issue. This is people supporting government to support the community and strengthen the community. Because who exactly is the government? I asked this question at a recent town hall. We are all the government. The government are people. The people are the government. At the very least, we all can be the voice of someone suffering in silence. When we see something, we should say something. And so, the more we have these conversations, the more we raise awareness, the more we give people access to information that would enable them to feel bolder, to be more courageous, and more secure in the place we all call home.
When we want to have everybody to feel secure, and this is where we call home, we still go down or come down to the fact that where are the fathers? Like I always share, whether you're a Christian, you're Muslim, Hindu, the responsibility, the spiritual responsibility to lead the home starts from the father. That's why I like the fact that Bright said the other time that he wasn't really ready for it. But with everybody on board now, the grace of responsibility to be available with the right content, receive. So after now, I believe that we're going to receive your invitation like that. We must be able to teach our children, teach the girl how to be a girl child and teach the boy how to be a boy child. Why are we saying this? There is a connecting link, which is humanity.
I want to answer a question that Bolaji raised here, which is he actually reversed Bright's question, which is
how does society raise?
Yes, what society produces abusive men? Yeah. And then he asked Bolaji asked another question. Sorry, I'm trying to say, what kind of community produces people who stay silent in the face of abuse? I think for me, that is an assignment we need to take home. But because you are going back somewhere where the assignment needs to bring front, we need to start to create a new construct, a critical mass of men who would provide leadership. That leadership is what will get us to the point where men can be outraged when women are abused. Men will be outraged when boys are abused. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. And I think if we can do that, the boys who are coming behind us will find a template.
Okay, so let me say, how is this possible, right? I mean, I categorize this whole JBV thing into 3 categories. The first one are the victims, the second one are the perpetrators, and then the third are the bystanders, which is the community. But also, I live in Nigeria, and I understand this idea of mind your business. That's one. And that mind your business, I want to break it down into mind your literally business, because if you don't mind your business, you no go chop. Society that drives narrative that focus on collectiveness, they don't chop belly full. Most of them, in most cases. You wake up every morning, you have an agenda, you have things that you need to solve, you have problems, you have family member calling you here and there. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the bystander, that sometimes advocacy comes out of comfort. In some cases, sometimes it comes out of the fact that
you won the shoe.
My personal problem, you won the shoe before, and so I want to fight against this. Sometimes it comes out of experience. But the high level advocacy that drives community and drives society to act comes from the sense of we have these things affecting all of us now.
Yeah.
Like NSAS. It's been happening for years. Nobody said anything, but when it has happened to a lot of people, and a lot of influential people, because they were not attacking boys on the street, they were attacking middle class, rich kids. That was when, let's come together. But at the end of the day, the masses, the most people in society are focused on survival.
Everybody, when it comes to GBV, you are a potential victim.
I mean, they didn't know that.
So that is a narrative we need to push hard. You may just be having your cool and enjoying yourself. Your daughter appears on one campus and a lecturer messes up with her. Before you show your power, it has happened. The girl has been scarred.
That is why we have to be intentional, and we all need to be involved. But one thing that I was looking for in all of these things I was saying with my last point, saying more secure in a place we call home. I was hoping we would actually define what a home is, or what a home means to a lot of people these days. A house is different from a home. Yes. But again, perhaps that is another conversation we need to have.
Okay. All right, so there's no doubt that this is a community issue. And I'm happy that you raised that, because when we started this conversation talking about how GBV has been gender-colored to mean women-based violence. Yeah. And even if you say, okay, by definition it's not the case, when you look at the people driving the advocacy, majority are women-based, because that's where most of the survivors are. The SAC centers are women-based.
Run by women.
The curriculum, the whole program is this. And even when you look at funding in terms from the government side of it, maybe Lagos is different, but when you look at funding from the side of it, gender-based violence budget allocation is located in the women's ministry. So that in itself...
Yinka, there's another side, sorry. The funders, donor agencies, they fund women-led organizations.
And so we should start men-led organizations like this.
That's where the problem is coming from.
But you see, you heard what he said. Wait to see if you get the funding. But if we don't start it, we wouldn't know. And we need to start it.
For me, it's not a question of whether we should pursue men-led funding or women's-led funding. The fact is that this is a problem of the community. Yeah. This affects everybody, male or female, all right? And we need to get the men in The men today are the governors, they are the people in the House of Reps, they are the senators, most of them are the ones there. If they are the ones leading this conversation, as is the case in South Africa now, that you have the president himself leading that process, I'm sure that we will make a whole lot of progress. It is the men that are the pastors, it's the men that are the imams, it's the men that heads the a lot of the communities.
Even the corporate
and so we need to bring everybody on the table to say, this is not a woman's problem. This is part of the problem. And and this is my last shot, and it goes out to the advocates, the feminists, particularly, who they know themselves. The tone and the language of the conversation is toxic. By the time you generalize and you look at men as the perpetrators, I will look at myself and I say, I'm not a perpetrator now. So, and that's where a lot of men are to say, look, toxic. we're not there. So go and look for this man.
So as they say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. So for that journey that you're talking about, we have already started it at a place at the table.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's been an enlightening time. It's been an enlightening time for me, and I trust it has been for you as well. And I'd like to thank you all, for, voicing out. We certainly haven't avoided tackling the tough issues at the table. We need to keep the conversations going as we push for solutions at the table. Same time next week. In the meantime, it's goodbye from all of us.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.